Daddy's Home was definitely a very funny film when it came out a decade ago. Now let's talk about its sequel, released 2 years later, that was actually, well, a holiday film, a Christmas film. Prepare yourselves, because here's my review of Daddy's Home 2. Is it really that bad, or can I defend this film? Find out right now. Ho, 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 ho! This is Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. Ho, ho, ho! So, greetings, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome again to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. I'm the Big D, and this time around, I bring to you a review of the 2017 Christmas buddy comedy flick, Daddy's Home 2. Title on screen as 2 in spelling instead with the number 2, like on the poster. Released by Paramount, directed by Sean Anders, who co wrote the story with John Morris. The sequel to Daddy's Home from 2015 bringing back Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg, plus Linda Cardellini, and in a little more appearance than what he was in the previous one, John Cena, plus the kids, and also featuring John Lithgow and Mel Gibson. The plot follows now reformed fathers Brad and Dusty, now co parenting Dusty's kids, who have to deal with their own fathers visiting for the holidays. The film was released on November 10th, 2017. While it didn't quite come close to its predecessor, it almost did. But it still got but it still did fine, but got really negative reviews its than its predecessor. If you haven't seen my review of Daddy's Home yet, you might want to check it out by clicking on that card in case you might have missed it, or if you would like to see it again. So go into that video before you go into this one. All right, let's get on with the story. As Brad Whitaker and Dusty Mayron continue co-parenting Dylan and Megan, the men decide to have a joint Christmas rather than separate ones. After Megan embarrassingly publicly admits she would prefer one together Christmas, however, Dusty's tough fighter pilot space shuttle astronaut father Kurt and Brad's overbearing and cheerful father Don unexpectedly arrive for Christmas. Megan and Dylan warmly embrace Don, as he is very present in their lives, while Kurt hasn't seen them since they were toddlers. Envious of the affection the children show Don, Kurt rents a large cabin to house them all through the holiday week. Brad and Dusty's co-parenting is put to the test by Kurt's meddling. Dusty's resentment of Kurt mainly stems from his frequent absences as a child. Especially painful was when, during a youth glee club recital, he embarrassed himself by missing his solo part when Kurt left to make out with a woman during it. Meanwhile, Sarah tries to bond with Karen, but is appalled by her behavior. She later becomes concerned with Don's wife's absence, who he claims couldn't come as she is taking care of her ill brother. Dylan develops a crush on Casey, a little girl staying in the cabin nearby, causing Megan and Adriana to constantly tease him in front of her. Brad gives him some advice, and Dusty interjects when he thinks Brad is having what looks like the talk with Dylan. Although they had agreed to do it together. As the trees on the Christmas tree farm are small, Kurt suggests they illegally cut one down. Brad mistakes a cell phone tower for a tree and is electrocuted. Brad, Dusty, Don, and Kurt go to an improv comedy club where they are enjoying themselves until Kurt picks up a woman at the bar, annoying Dusty. Brad enters Don into the improv show, and Dusty chooses the topic of a husband confronting his cheating wife as the subject of the skit. As it progresses, it is revealed that Don and his wife are divorced, shocking Brad. Sarah comforts Don about his divorce, but when Dusty reveals his part in the skit, Don and Brad become furious, and Dusty and Brad's relationship becomes strained. Brad, attempting to get back at Dusty, invites Adriana's father, Roger, who intimidates Dusty. The entire family takes part in a live nativity. Brad fights with Dusty, wanting to play Joseph. A drunken Megan begins to swear, and an equally drunk Adriana falls from her platform. Then the crowd breaks up. Instead of Dusty fighting Brad, he almost fights Roger and dies repeatedly hit in the face with ice balls. On Christmas Day, the family's depressed from all the arguing, pack up to leave. On their way out of town, they are forced to take shelter in a cinema due to a blizzard. They see Mistletoe, spelled TLW, a holiday action comedy film starring Liam Neeson. When the power cuts off during the movie, everyone goes to the lobby where each man confronts his father about his secrets, lies, and attitudes, then reconcile. Now for the ending, you know the procedure. You've got 5 seconds to stop this video at once. Go to the description box below and fast forward to the time below. If you've seen this movie already, please continue. Okay, you've been warned. Remembering Kurt's advice, Dylan walks toward the girl he has a crush on to kiss her, but instead kisses Adriana. Although the other girl does kiss him later on when Megan and Adriana put him under the mistletoe along with other girls and a boy who line up to kiss him. Kurt pushes Dusty to stand up to Adriana and punish her for her recent behavior, but instead tells her he loves her. He then tells Roger he also loves him, as he is also part of the family. Roger almost leaves without Adriana, but has a change of heart after everyone breaks out singing Do They Know It's Christmas, during which the power comes back on and he decides to stay. At the airport, Don and Kurt are preparing to head back to their respective homes, where Kurt reveals to Don that he switched out the tickets and they are going to spend New Year's together in Las Vegas. As Brad's mother arrives, Dusty and Brad discover Brad's new stepfather, Chelsea Sully Sullenberger, pilot of the 2009 Miracle on the Hudson flight, and Dusty appears to be excited to meet him. However, an infuriated Brad runs down the terminal, screaming that Sully will never replace his father. End of story. But in a post-credit scene, Don droning on and on to the workers, taking down the nativity scene. The others eventually leave while Don continues to talk, and that's that for realsies. So what did I think of Daddy's Home 2? Well, I'd say it's still pretty funny. It's almost as funny as its predecessor. It does have flaws and what have you, but nevertheless, it's still pretty good and what have you. I don't care what the critics say. Well, it may not have quite come close to its predecessor, but still did pretty well. Though despite losing to Thor Ragnarok when it opened at the box office, it still eventually did fine and what have you. The film went on to make 180 million worldwide on its $69 million budget. But its reviews were even worse than its predecessor, as it sits at 21%, which is 9% less than its predecessor on Rotten Tomatoes, saying a formulaic comedy that's unlikely to spread much Yuletide merriment. The film can only muster a few stray yucks from its talented cast. Metacritic has a score of 30, and audience's Popeye Cinema score, however, gave it an A minus. The Raps, Alonso Durald says, well, he was critical on this, of what he described as the film's sloppiness and laziness, saying Sean Anders and his co-writer John Morris execute what are supposed to be the laughs with blunt force. The jokes announce themselves with heavy footsteps, and almost none of them land, stranding a talented cast with terrible material that they're straining to sell. Now, that may be. Richard Roper wasn't thrilled either, saying, after enduring last week's lousy and lazy A Bad Mom's Christmas, yeah, which came out a week prior that same year, I would bet it would be many a year before we'd see another holiday comedy more sour and cynical and profoundly funny. I said corrected. Glenn Kinney of RogerEbert.com gave us 2.5 out of 4, saying, I found the sequel better than the original. The writing sharper, the jokes fresher and smarter, the comic interaction between the lead characters consistently engaging. I mentioned this to my incredulous wife, who said, so you're saying it's The Godfather Part 2 of the Daddy's Home series? Now, there's been talks about third installment, but we don't know yet. In an interview, Mark Wahlberg mentioned he would like to get Liam Neeson to for a third installment, so we'll see. However, after its release, it got nominated for 2 Razzies. Mel Gibson won Worst Supporting Actor. Mark Wahlberg was nominated for Worst Actor, but lost. It got nominated for 3 Teen Choice Awards, but lost. But I'm going to say the film still provides some pretty funny stuff and what have you. But I gotta say, I can defend this a little. Sure, I think it's almost as good as its predecessor in some ways. But with it being around Christmas, I think it's worth it. Now, of course, Michael Andrews is the guy who composes the score for the film, just like last time. So I gotta give him credit for what he did. There's lots of pretty good tunes we hear. Anyway, for the cast, we have Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg back as Brand and Dusty again, and I gotta say they are both still pretty good. I don't care what they say. Playing Don is John Lithgow, who is absolutely nutsoid in some ways, and it's pretty funny. But hey, he's pretty energetic as his character. Mel Gibson as Kurt. Yeah, he's pretty good actually. Linda Cardellini returns as Sarah. She's still good. John Cena is back in a much more bigger performance as Roger. He's good. We have Scarlett Estevez and Owen Vaccaro back as Megan and Dylan. We have Dee Dee Costine back on board as Adriana in a bigger performance. Yep. And we actually have D. Sully Sullenberger as himself. And we have Alessandra Ambrosio back as Karen, Dusty's wife. And Priscilla Manning plays Jenny, Brad's mother. Yes. So anyway, the cast is pretty good and what have you. I don't care what they say. Daddy's Home 2 can be a hit or miss, but I think it's worth looking into. If you like the first one, I think you'll like the second one as well. Will we get a third one? Like I said, we'll see what happens. That'll be up to Paramount, I bet. But would I recommend it after everything I said? Well, I'd say just be on the safe side despite the negativity. I give this a one-time watch. And if you're really into that, then go for it. Watch it a little more. But if you're not, stick with the first one. That's all I can tell you. So what did you think of Daddy's Home 2? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, consider clicking the like button, subscribe, click the bell icon for notifications, and be a part of the Big D Nation. Continue to help support my channel, and you know the rest. Join me next time when I bring to you a review of Little Fockers. So if you like this, check out my reviews for these other films. In the upper left-hand corner, you can check out my review of a recent film Mark Wahlberg did, and that was the Apple TV film The Family Plan. Or you can go to the upper right hand corner and see my spoiler-free review of the brand new sequel to that, The Family Plan 2. Or if you would like, you can check out my review of the Meet the Parents sequel and Meet the Fockers in the bottom left hand corner. And the bottom right hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe if you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc. Then I'm your guy. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.